And I swore it off. I was never going to have a business partner again. And then you find the right one, then you throw a ring on it. So my whole point to this is be very cautious on the people that might come when success starts coming, and really be like, you know what, I'll make you an employee first, and then we'll think about it from there. Which
True
I didn't
that.
do with that. I didn't do with Emily. Only fools rush in.
Do you do karaoke, Joel? I mean,
Hey, what's happening, you guys? Welcome to the Proclivity Podcast. If you're a first-time listener, hey, thanks for tuning in. We love meeting new people. And even though we're not meeting, you're just hearing my voice and Emily's voice, and soon Scarlett's voice. We want to welcome you to the Proclivity Podcast. If you're a longtime listener and you haven't left a 5-star review, you don't get to listen anymore. Just kidding. You can keep on listening. But if you feel like it, leave a 5-star review and talk about how great we are. We'd really appreciate that. Let's dive right in. I love diving right in because for most people, when they're listening to a podcast, there's commercials and there's this and they talk about it and there's a lead in. Nope. We like to go right into it. So what we're going to be talking about today, guys, are your two greatest resources that most people have no idea what they're doing with. And that is your time and your money. And we have a special guest today. I'm really excited to introduce to you Scarlett Stanhope. She's a renowned abundance coach who specializes in time and money management for coaches and entrepreneurs. And she's here to be able to share her insights on being able to balance both of these so that you can have a healthy life and a healthy bank account. Two things that we want. How are we going to balance this? I'm very excited to have her on the show. Scarlett, welcome to the Proclivity Podcast.
thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, especially because I've listened to your podcast and your deep dives on health, especially. And so I'm really excited to get to bring financial health to the table because that's another really important topic that I feel deserves a bit more stage time. So thanks for having me on to get to share about it.
1,000%. I'm very excited about this. Emily and I have done a deep dive into our finances, and we've switched our budget platform, and have really been enjoying it. And so this is right on top of currently this time. It's January. Everybody set new goals in business and personal, right? It's the end closing year of the financial year. And so there's a lot of things here. Yet before we start getting into the nitty gritty, I just want us to dive into the basics. And that's understanding the significance of time and money. From your point of view, can you explain to us this very delicate balance of time and money?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I go by the MO, the biz hippie. So on the one hand, I'm very business, I'm very strategy and how can I make this happen? But on the other hand, I'm also the hippie woo-woo manifester. So just diving purely into that woo-woo feminine side, let's talk about energy and how we create and how we manifest. Now, all of us are living lives that we, whether consciously or subconsciously, have created for ourselves. And some of us are happy with those lives and some of us aren't happy with those lives. But it is up to us to decide what we want to create, what we want to do. And if we're not happy, we have to change it in order to make ourselves have the lives that we want to live. And the ways in which we do that is by taking aligned action. Aligned action with the life that we want to create is how we manifest the life we want to live. And this is why time and money is so important and so valuable to recognize and be aware of, because that's how you take action in your life, by how you choose to spend your time and how you choose to spend your money. I say that that is your power. Your time, your energy, and your money is your power, your control, your decisions. And so many of us unconsciously throw our power around, our time
Mm,
and our money around with no awareness. But what if you were able to harness this power and wield this power that you are already using to cultivate and create your life and bring even more intention and consciousness and awareness into it so that
mhm.
you can create whatever life you really want to live? And that's really the value behind having time and money awareness in the first place.
I, I I love that. Uh, that again, the awareness of it. If I were to tell you you have 24 hours to live, how much more awareness are you going to have about time and money? Abundance, right? All of a sudden it locks in. It's that uh, who's that country guy that sings? Uh, do you know what I'm talking about, Emily? What's the song? Four point
I wish I knew.
4.7 seconds on a bull named Fu Manchu. I went skydiving. I went Rocky Mountain climbing. Somebody out there is listening and going like, Joel, I know what it is. It's this one. I apologize if you're a big fan of that artist. But the whole premise of the song is that he found out that he has a terminal illness and he finally decided to do all the things that he was keeping himself from doing. And, riding a bull named Fu Manchu and jumping out of an airplane still costs money. Even if you're dying, it's not like you can go up and be like, hey, I'm dying. Will you just throw me out this airplane? They're like, no, you still got to pay. And so bringing that awareness is super, super important. Yet you work with entrepreneurs, you work with business people. That's why you're the biz hiffy. What are the challenges that they face when it comes to managing these two resources effectively?
Yeah, what a great question. And I also love the 24-hour example that you just gave because I talk about that all the time. That's the example that I use when it comes to feeling inspired and empowered to manage your money because most of us are living our lives very unconsciously and saying, I'm just going to do whatever or get sucked into this mundane day to day trap. But if you really boiled it down to how can I be really intentional with every single minute that I have? And also, how can I be really intentional with every single dollar that I had? If you
That's
only
right.
had 24 hours to live, you'd want to make sure you got the most out of every single moment. And same with
Mm-hmm.
your money. You want to make sure you are getting the most out of every single dollar. So when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to managing your money, some of the several hurdles that I see people bumping up against is there's so much fear when it comes to managing your money. One is, I have no idea how to do it. I have no idea what to do. I'm not good at numbers. I'm not good at math. There's all of that unknown aspect that creates a lot of resistance. That's the how. Another component is money is often the stickiest, most challenging, fearful topic that I talk about with anybody. There's
Mm.
all these underlying fears and childhood stories and beliefs around money and worthiness
That's right.
and whether I'm deserving or not, or whether I have enough or not, and what that means about me. And so the relationship to money often is really rooted in fear, scarcity, not enoughness. And there can be a lot of shame and stress
Mm.
around the idea of even starting to look at it. And a lot of people that I interact with have fears of looking at the reality of the situation. In fact, most people go through their lives thinking, okay, if I don't look at it and if I keep it tucked away in this closet and pretend like it doesn't exist, then the problem and the stress that I'm feeling will simply go away. But that is not the case. It only gets worse and worse. And so there's a lot of avoidance that exists around simply starting and simply getting the ball rolling that I interact and notice in the clients that I work with and the people that I speak to on this topic.
Mm-hmm. there are tons of stories about money that, from doing business coaching and doing life coaching, that it can really control us, right? If we don't feel like we have enough money, then I need to make more money. When I need to make more money, I need to find jobs that produce the highest amount of money, even if I don't even actually like the job. Because where I found safety is not within myself. I found safety within a job because it gives me money. Why am I so worried about that money? Oh, I grew up completely poor and I was embarrassed to bring people to my house because we didn't even have carpet in my house. And so I would walk by my house and not even tell people that's my home because I was so afraid of being able to show people this is where I lived. And if we don't touch that, if we don't go into that, then we're going to constantly think that we're the little kid that wants to continue to walk past that house. And it can have a controlling effect on everything. And so I am curious because you brought this up. Emily, I want to ask you this question. Well, what is your relationship with money? I've never asked you that.
Yeah, I'm excited for this podcast for my own selfish reasons. That's a good question. My relationship with money. I feel like that's a loaded question. Yet, yeah, I tend to have the mindset of, oh, I need to make and save because I don't want to run out. I don't like using credit cards. It's hard for me to spend money on myself because of that thought. And Joel knows that, right? I'll spend money on other people and do other things, like get gifts for other people. But when it comes to me, that's definitely more challenging. And even in my own business, to think about that, I'm like, oh, should we spend that? I don't know. And Joel's actually helped me be like, no, we got to do it. It's going to help. It's an investment, right? So that's a little insight to me.
Mm-hmm. And we've talked about this before, right, Emily, in terms of and you brought this up, the people pleaser, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and I want us to give this example. I'm not calling Emily out on here, right? Well, I want you to give an example because you guys might resonate with this. Is that Emily grew up in a household in which, hey, being quiet and pleasing others was a safe place for her. It's not like she was in this crazy abusive family dynamic. It was just a lot of siblings, all older siblings. And so to be able to find safety, okay, I will please. So then there was a habit of being a people pleaser, right? And she
Right.
is a self-proclaimed recovering people pleaser right now, which is awesome, right? But you can see where this can affect when it comes to spending money on herself. No, I'll spend it on somebody else. She'll spend however much money on her son getting an organic mattress. And then when I asked her, I was like, but do you have an organic mattress? No. Right. And that's not abnormal. If you're a mom out right now listening to this, you're like, yes, totally understand that. I will give my child all the things and I will sleep on a dirty floor. Right. And so being able to recognize how that can translate into our money, and if we aren't investing into ourselves financially by being able to go, I'm going to put this money away to take myself on a vacation. I'm going to put this money away to be able to treat myself. I'm going to put this money away so I can invest in my health, whether that's mentally, emotionally, physically, but going like, it is important that I put this money away for me. If not, we'll constantly put ourselves on the back burner. Now, that can only last so long until you start getting bitter or you start getting to a point where it starts changing you. And this all comes down to being able to recognize we have time, we have money, and we also have different traumas that connect those two, and seeing the correlation. What do you think about that, Scarlett? I know your background. I know that you work in the psychology of it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And what is coming up, hearing this conversation is I'm reminding myself that we are always making decisions and choices based on something. We're always choosing to prioritize something, even when we think we're not, even when we're saying, I talk to so many people about their relationship to money. Every single day, I'm having these difficult, challenging conversations with people that they're unwilling to have in their day-to-day lives with anybody else. And even a lot of people say, oh, I don't spend money or I save money and I'm not choosing anything. But even that is choosing something. Your beliefs, your stories, your habits, your patterns, they exist for a reason, and there is something that you are choosing, there's something that you're deciding,
Mm-hmm.
and as a result there's something that you are creating. Now, in the work that I do, I promote the idea that whatever choice you make is okay. It's okay. It's good to save or it's good to spend.
Mm-hmm.
There's not one that's right or wrong, but it comes down to the conscious choice. As long as you know what you're choosing, why you're choosing it, what you are willingly prioritizing, and making that a conscious decision. So if it is saving, if that's your pattern, your default, your go to, recognizing, okay, why am I saving? Why is this important to me? Okay, well, security and having a safety net is important for me because I want to protect myself and my family. Okay, great. That's awesome if you recognize that and know that, but then also recognize what are the other things that are important to me that I haven't been prioritizing, that I haven't been choosing, and we can just look at this through the lens of money and time. Looking at how you're spending your money and your time is an amazing reflection of what you're choosing and prioritizing in your life, and as a result what you are choosing to create and prioritize in your life. So when you bring a level of consciousness to how you are spending your time and how you are spending your money, you suddenly have this crystal clear map of what is important to you. And if you
Mm.
want to change that, if you want to get off of autopilot, based on the beliefs of your parents and what you learned growing up, that it's wrong to spend money, or that, money isn't going to last anyway, so I might as well spend all of it as fast as I can. Whatever the belief is, if you want to change that, you have to bring a level of awareness into it. And then that's how you change your life.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Well, here's the question I'm gonna have for you, Scarlett. Right, and I have my theories. Right, is how do people start getting to that awareness? Is it usually they feel the pressure of lack of time and their time isn't being managed? I just feel stressed all the time, and or is it the money? Man, I don't have the money, or I don't feel safe. Where does that awareness come from? Because if people are listening right now and they're going, well, I kind of know about time and money. What is it that we can pinpoint and be like, oh, that thing right there, that people can go, oh, wow, I didn't look at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it comes back to what you just said, which is the stress. And I see it go for both time and money because those two are so interwoven. Very likely, if you're feeling financial stress, you're also feeling time stress, because that same theme of lack and not enough and scarcity, if you have it in one area, you likely have it in all areas, which is why doing work with money is so potent, because it also affects your time and vice versa. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're feeling financially stressed and feeling like you don't have enough, no matter how hard you try, then that's the key, that's the trigger for you to know that there's more
Mm-hmm.
work to be done. Because I
Mm-hmm.
have worked with people who have very little money, who are trying to start their own businesses, and they feel super financially stressed and unstable, and they feel like they don't have enough no matter what they do. And then I've worked with people who have solid 9 to 5 jobs with lots of income coming in, and they also feel like they're living paycheck to paycheck, and they are also financially stressed and feel like they don't have enough. Because the reality is, it doesn't matter the amount of money that you have. What matters is your relationship to it and your awareness around it.
Yeah.
So if you're on this hamster wheel of trying to get more and more and
Mm-hmm.
more, so someday you might feel financially stable, but you haven't gotten there yet, then it's not about the quantity of money. It's about your relationship to your money, and that's what needs to be addressed.
Gosh, I love that so much. It brings up such a key point for me over the last, couple years, and that relationship to me is uh, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes is the average that it takes for me to look at, or even less than that, to look at my finances daily. And the control that gives me to be able to know where I invest my time is so essential. And the reason I know that this is so essential is because I did it for such a long time when I wasn't making a ton of money, starting off my different businesses and so on and so forth. And what I found is that I felt more rich when I was managing my money, making $3,000 a month, not much, to comparison of making $10,000 or $15,000 in a month and not feeling rich because I was time poor. So even though I had more money, I wasn't managing it daily, meaning I wasn't spending the 5 minutes when I was like, well, shoot, I just got to, check for 15K. Like I can do whatever I want. But I didn't feel as rich because I didn't have the money. The money was, I didn't have the time. The money was there. I didn't have the time. And so then all of a sudden I was like, man, I don't feel rich anymore. And I felt rich when I was making $3,000 a month. And I felt poor when I was making 15K a month. The differences there are drastic, but it really came back down to, oh, I wasn't taking those 5 minutes anymore to manage my money. I just thought it was all going to be there. And without managing that money, I started feeling a different way. I started feeling more stress. And so I've played both. I've gotten lucky to be able to play both sides of not making a ton of money and managing it like crazy, making a ton of money, not managing it. And now at the point of going like, oh, there's a middle ground here of being able to make money, have time, manage my money, take the daily time to be able to manage that money, just like with health. Just like with health. If you take just a little bit of time every single day, your body will be incredible. Your health will be incredible. Your sleep will be incredible. And if you take a little bit of time with your finances, you can create a lot of control and create that relationship of feeling rich, regardless if you make millions or you just make a couple thousands. I love this. I can go on forever on this kind of stuff. Yet I want to move and shift into giving our listeners some strategic ways. So one of the things you said that I really want to pinpoint is the stress. That's when that's when people start recognizing, well, there needs to be a change. Whether it's time, or whether it's money, there needs to be a change because I'm feeling the stress and I do not like it. So, what are some tangible things that our listeners can do if they're starting to feel that stress and they're like, well, yeah, I know it's a time and a money thing. What would you suggest them doing?
So, some tangible things that you can do to really start developing your relationship with money is just like you're saying, Joel, is to start looking at it. And so many of us have this current relationship with money where it's stuck in the closet and I'm afraid to look at it. I don't want to look at it. And so you have to start by developing that relationship, taking it out of the closet and looking at it. So at its simplest form, for some people, that means opening your bank account regularly and practicing down regulating, because so many of us have a lot of stress when it comes to even opening and looking at the bank account. And so
Yes.
what type of relationship are you developing with money, and then especially abundance? If looking at money means fear and stress and anxiety and scarcity, then it's also going to mean that if you have lots of money coming in, so if we can develop that abundant relationship no matter how much money you have, then that is what is going to allow your financial situation to expand. So at a foundational level, dedicating that time to even open your bank account. On the next level up, what I track and what I manage and what I teach my clients to track and manage is what is the money coming in every single month and where is it coming in from? What is the amount? And what is the money going out? Having that all in one place, because then you have a crystal clear map of where your money is going, what you're choosing, and what you're prioritizing. And from there, now you have so much power and control. You can start to make decisions about what's worth cutting out, what's worth adding in, what's worth moving and prioritizing. And then from there, you can start to develop some strategy to achieve financial goals. But just bare bones foundation, getting it all in one place, what is coming in and what is going out and where is it going every single month, is already going to have major impacts on your relationship with money and help you feel like you have so much more control and power and freedom in your
Mm-hmm.
life.
Mm-hmm. 100%. 100%. And it's so interesting. I don't know the percentage, maybe you know it, of the amount of people who have a budget. Do you know that percentage?
I do not know that percentage, but I know based on the amount of people I talk to, that it is a very small amount.
It is. It's like it's really asinine, guys. The amount of people that, I mean, financial numbers are, it's wild. Like how many people who don't have retirement, how many people who don't invest in their retirement, how many people who don't have a budget. It's real bad, and we wonder why credit card companies just have the biggest buildings in every city, is because the fact that they're just eating and living off your interest. They're like, sure, we'll loan you out the money, and we'll just hold that over your head, and you'll just keep paying, 19 or 20% on $20,000. No problem. We'll take that paycheck every single week, or every single month. And being able to create a budget is like step number one of being able to, you can't change what you can't track. I mean, we do it in business. We track all of our numbers. How many times that, people engage with us on Instagram, how many clarity calls we have, how many connection calls we have, what's our closing percentage? Because when we know that, we have awareness around it. When we have awareness around it, we can make changes. But if you don't even know what's going in and what's going out, you have zero awareness. So then you're going to get to the end of the month and just look at your checking account and realize it's super low and go, oh my gosh, I can't do anything for the next 2 weeks because I have no money. And now you're restricted. Now, if you wanted to jump on a bowl named Fu Manchu, you wouldn't be able to. And so now you just got to sit at home and scrape together food to be able to wait until, oh, finally, I got the paycheck again. And then the bank account goes up, boop, 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 boop. And it doesn't matter if it's a couple thousand or a couple 100,000. I know people who can smoke through a couple $100,000, just like people who can smoke through a couple grand. It's stuff that you don't really need to do. So that's one piece, tracking it in and out. Are there any other strategies that you would give to our listeners who are tuning in? They're like, yeah, I really don't feel like I have control of my money, and it's really stressing my time out. Is there anything else that you would suggest?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple different things. One is the mindset around tracking it. And that comes
Mm-hmm.
back to the hurdles that prevent people from doing this and having a budget in the first place. And in fact, in the work that I do, I have erased the word budget from my work. I know that you both care a lot about language, as do I. And so
Mm-hmm.
instead I teach the art of blueprinting instead of budgeting, because
Mm,
budgeting is the same as dieting. You hear the word budget or diet and you're like, "Ugh, I'm limited and restricted. I'm not allowed to spend. I'm not allowed to do the things I want to do. My
sure.
life is miserable and boring."
Mm-hmm.
That's what budgeting is. It's saying like everything you're spending money on is wrong and you shouldn't be doing that. But
Right.
instead, what if we looked at managing your money as an empowering thing, as the thing that
Mm-hmm.
empowers you to get to live the life that you want to live? And that's why I prefer the term blueprinting, because a budget
Mm-hmm.
tells you what you can't do, what you shouldn't spend on, what you're not allowed to do. Whereas a blueprint, you're looking at, okay, well, what can I do with the money that I have? What can I choose? What do I prioritize? What choices am I making? And so taking the money that you have and using it to build and create your best life. And so when you change your mindset around what money management even is and what it does, it completely changes the game. I mean, I've
Yeah.
worked with people who have a ton of fear and resistance to managing their money. They're like, I don't want to do it. My goal is to be so rich that I never have to manage my money ever again. This is
Oof.
horrible. I don't want to look at it. But then they start managing it and they start going through these techniques and these steps that I walk them through. And very quickly, they discover that they actually enjoy the process, that it's fun to manage your money because what you're
Yeah.
doing is you're consciously creating your life and making decisions about your life in a really simple and clear way because it's
Yeah.
on paper. It's right in front of you. So that mindset component is a huge piece to really getting the ball rolling so that tracking it actually becomes empowering to create the life that you want to live.
Mm, mm, mm. Yes. The resistance, it's very, I love that you use the comparison to a diet and how quickly, or even better, goals. Goals. We're doing a goal setting workshop here this month, and a lot of people do not like setting goals, and that's because they do not understand how to structure them. It's very similar to budgets. People are just like, all right, what are your goals? I'll just sit down and I'll just start writing things down. Very similar to like, I'll just look at my bank account and I'll know that I only can spend just a little bit more. Both strategies are are garbage. And being able to understand, how do I set goals? What's the reason behind goals? What's the purpose? How many goals should I have? Should I have goals that are just about business? What about personal? What about giving back? What about adventure goals? We don't have a breakdown of it, so we don't understand it. So it's hard for the brain to be able to comprehend it. Same with finances, of being able to go, well, what am I supposed to track? What am I supposed to look at? What is my blueprint supposed to be? And the more that we break it down, it still all of a sudden goes, wait, I have control of this. When I have control, I have safety. When I have safety, I can take action. And so I love the blueprint. I love being able to shift the mindset around budget. That is like a triggering word for people. That might keep them from just even getting in the door. Right there, just that by itself. Um, I love this. I love this. When it comes to, we talked a lot about finances, and I'm curious, do you talk about time with your clients in terms of finding work-life balance or helping them understand the investment of time and what that looks like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Because time and money are so interwoven that often, for many of us, it's a trade off. It's, I have to give more of my time in exchange for more money. And
Mhm.
especially in America, the patterning is money is the most important thing. And so you should trade as much time as possible in order to make a lot of money because that is what success looks like. And then you will be an incredible human. Basically, is the way that
And you'll
we.
get more time too, right? They sell and pitch it like, make money now so you have time later.
Right. But that's not really the case when you are spending all your time making the money.
That's
So
right.
because of this, and because people don't have financial awareness, we're often running on this hamster wheel of, I just need to work more. I just need to work more because I need more money. And so we have no time. We have no time at all. And so, one of the aspects that I teach that ties time and money so beautifully together is, how much money do you actually need? How much money do you actually need to get by, like just barely scrape by? How much money do you need to be okay? Like, oh, I'm good. This is a solid medium. And then how much money do you need to be thriving and living your best life? Because if you know those numbers, then you can make decisions about your time with
Mm.
financial awareness. Because if you only need, say, $5,000 a month to be like good, like, yeah, this life is pretty good. then why are you working 40 hours to make 20K a month? If you don't really need that money to be happy, what is the trade off here? What are you choosing and what is motivating that? So, when you do have a crystal clear picture of your financial vision, then you can make decisions to choose and to prioritize your time, because you can say, yes, I'm going to cut my hours. I'm going to choose a different job, or I'm going to be strategic in my business. So I'm only working this many hours a week because I know I only need 3 clients and I'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can make that conscious trade off instead of just like running on this hamster wheel and thinking, well, I need more
Yeah.
money, more money, more money, when that's really not accurate. There's a number. There's a number to your best life. Do you know what it is? And how do you know when you've reached it so that you can say, finally, I can take a break?
Oh, that's so good. And the first thing that I think about, right, when you were talking about like, hey, being able to know your financial vision of like, what do you want? 5K, 20K, 50K. What is it per month that you want to live? Well, here's the thing, Scarlett. Most people don't have a personal vision. Most people have not written down their best day ever and in detail and written completely out to be able to understand, man, this is what really matters to me. I want a big home that's by the river so that I can homeschool my kids and they can be active. If that's a big thing, then we need to know what's the number that's going to cost for the house on the river and for you to be able to have the freedom to be able to homeschool your kids. And most people, I would say, very similar to not having a budget, they don't have a vision. And this is something that Emily and I worked through. The first time that we were starting to work together was having her build out a vision. And Emily, did you have a vision before that? Before you and I worked together and I said, hey, give me your perfect day and write the whole story out. Did you have multiple stories or versions of that?
No, I had thoughts, random thoughts of pieces of it, but never put it together and never envisioned it.
And without it being crystal clear, do you really truly think that you would have be able to understand the money that you need to be able to get to that vision?
No, there was no like focus on that and awareness of what I need to do to get to that point. So no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so here's the point. Here's the point, guys. You can go chicken or the egg here. And like Scarlett was talking about, they're intertwined. And not knowing your vision of your personal life is going to be a problem because then we're just going to be looking for short little dopamine hits. We're going to be looking for, oh, the new car gave me a dopamine hit. And then 3 months later, you care less about the new car. Get a new TV, dopamine hit. And there it goes again. And we're starting to stack up buying all these different things for these small dopamine hits because we don't actually have a direction for the life that we truly want because we've never taken time to actually sit down and write the story out. And without writing the story out, it's very hard to be able to say, what is the cost, financial cost of that dream? What is the financial cost of that dream? And without being able to put those goals with some numbers, then you have no idea. You have no idea. I want a barn that has an entire health center in it, fitness center. I found out it costs $46,000 for that, for a build out. Okay, 46K. So I know I need 46K minimum to build out the barn that I want. And that's just the barn. That doesn't include the cold tub, the sauna, and everything else. And by putting all those other numbers together, I realized actually, man, that barn's going to be 100K. Okay, so I need $100,000, and that doesn't even include my home. We start putting these numbers together, and then I can start making decisions on is that cost of getting that barn worth currently now the time that I'd have to invest to get that money? Or am I going to miss out on the things that I want now? And then maybe I start downsizing that dream and say, oh, you know what? It's okay to just get a third car garage, and I'll make it just a teenier little center. That's only actually going to cost me $20,000. and it's going to be rolled into my mortgage. Now I can start looking at things slightly differently. And having that vision is a very crucial part of that. Do you agree, Scarlett?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it comes back to awareness, because when you have awareness around where you are now, the current situation, time, energy, and money wise, and also the vision that you're working towards, and you have it really crystal clear on paper, then you can start to make conscious decisions about
Mm-hmm.
what is important to you, what you are prioritizing, and what you are choosing. And I think going back to what you were saying on goal setting and visioning, so many people have resistance to doing that because, oh, it feels far away. It feels like it's not possible. When you hear, oh my
Right.
gosh, how could I ever build this 100K barn? But if you flip that coin, how likely is it that it's going to happen if it's just floating around in your mind as a maybe someday? At least if you have the numbers and you know the clear reality, the clear financial situation, now you know exactly what it's going to take to make it happen. And you can choose whether it's worth it to you or not, whether it's a
Mm-hmm.
priority or not, and whether it's worth the time that it's going to take to create that and choose that. And really, what money, like tracking your money and being aware of your time, does is it makes your vision tangible. It gives you
Right.
clear, tangible steps that you can take and decisions that you can make and choices that you are choosing when it is
Mm-hmm.
on paper. And that just doesn't exist if it's just floating around in your mind as a someday. So, if you really want to be in control and have the power, you got to take the vision and distill it down into the financial reality, and then from there you can start to make decisions around what you are going to choose to make it happen.
Mm. Well said, my friend. Well said. All right, I want to wrap this up. We've talked a lot of great things. Um, I want you to give us the 1, 2, 3 punch here. If people are sitting here and like, okay, they talked about stress, I feel the stress. I don't have a budget, and I haven't looked at my time. I don't have a time budget. We do time audits for Proclivity, meaning just as important as our financial audits is our time audits. And so we track everything on Google Calendar. We have different colors to different meetings, so we know exactly how many hours we're spending on marketing compared to how much time we're spending on operations compared to how much time we're spending on coaching calls. And I find that a lot of people do not have that. It's just up in the air as much as their finances are. So give us the 1, 2, 3. If somebody's like, okay, I'm ready to start today, what's the first thing they should do? What's the second? What's the third?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So going back to what I said earlier is first have, I recommend a spreadsheet. I am a spreadsheet person where you put in, this is the money coming in and this is the money going out. And you also can do this for your time as well. I also track my time because I like to be aware of where the time is going. And that is tracking, similar to a time card. Okay, where is my time being spent? And then with the time, you can also see, am I getting the results that I want to be seeing from that time dedication, or what needs to shift so that I can, prioritize what is moving the needle more forward. And same with your money as well. Once you track out everything and you say what's coming in,
Mm-hmm.
what's going out, then you can eliminate and remove the things that are less important to you, that are less of a priority, so that you can take that and put it towards what is important to you. And then this
Mm-hmm.
boils it down to the three most important numbers that you need to know, especially when it comes to your money. And it applies to time as well, which is, how much do you have left over at the end of the month? What's your profit, your financial profit or your time profit, to say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
money in, money out, or hours available, hours allocated. What's the leftover chunk that you have? If it's negative, you got to change something. You either got to
Mm-hmm.
bring more in, more time or money in, or you got to cut out some of the things that you are spending on. so that you get that profit chunk. So it's how much. Then once you do have that profit and you know the exact number, that's when you get to decide what is important to me. What am I going to put that towards? That's the goal. If it's to get out of debt, then I'm going to put it towards crushing my debt. If it's saving for something important, like the fitness barn, then it's putting it towards the saving or other investments, other priorities. So, how much is available? What am I prioritizing? And when am I able to make this happen? And this is a number that from all of my research, from everybody that I've talked to, people don't know this number, especially when it comes to finances. And this is why having a really awesome method and system and tracker can be really supportive, because it's one thing to say, oh, I have an extra $500 available this month, but it's another thing to know, if I move that $500 out of my account today, I'm going to be safe until the end of the month, because I know when my next paycheck is coming and it's not going to make my account go negative. So
right.
knowing those three numbers for both your time and your money, that's how you can really start to move the needle and actually work towards and gain more momentum towards your financial goals, and which are your life goals on paper, vice versa.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. This has been so good. Scarlett, tell our listeners, if they're like, man, I'm curious, I want an abundance coach. How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am very active on Instagram. You can feel free to reach out to me there. Please message me. And my handle is at the biz, B-I-Z, hippie, Hippie. You can also check out my website, thebizhippie.com, where it talks more about, what I offer, the work that I do as well. So those are my two primary avenues where you can find out more about this work.
I love it. I love it. This has been very enriching for me. I love talking about time and money, and these two resources are so vital. Emily, anything else from you to close this out?
No, I think yes. This has been helpful to me because of my past, and then also speaking to other people of like, well, I have a lot of taste in expensive things. How am I going to get there? I just need to work, 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 work. And instead of that mindset, to me, it's a reframe. This has opened my eyes and reminded me, oh no, it's a reframe to, well, what does it take to get there, and is that worth it? I think that's the mark that a lot of people miss. And I love that that's a big part of your work. So I appreciate that. And thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you both so much for having me.
Of course. Of course. You guys, again, if you have questions, you want to dive deeper, reach out to Scarlett. If you've enjoyed this podcast, of course, I said it in the beginning, leave a 5-star review. Leave a 5-star review. We appreciate it. We love having you guys on. Episode 133 is in the books. We'll see you next week for 134. And until that time,
Best day ever.
best day ever.